beings, at least, search for meaning and purpose. And when we don't have meaning and purpose, we don't thrive. I mean, that's well-known epidemiological fact, actually, that people, for example, if an Orthodox Jew has a terminal disease, but he's waiting for the bar mitzvah of his grandson, he will actually live at least till that happens. Statistically, that his expectation or his desire for that meaningful experience will extend his lifespan. So we are creatures that seek meaning. And when we don't have meaning in our lives falls apart. The bigger question is there meaning in the universe? You know, is there creativity in the universe? Is there organizing power in the universe? And I don't want to put words in Leonard's mouth, but we have a basic disagreement.
But I would say, as the interlocutor of you two, is that the fact that, I'm not putting words in your mouth too, but let me try this. Let me just try this. Now, you actually say, you write in the book, our best hope for a better future. I'm going to translate this. You say our best hope for a better future is through the development of values and encourage caring for one another, and things like that. Now, if you get meaning that is sort of manufactured through human experience, and meaning which is cosmic, does it really matter as long as you two, and people like you two, are cooperating with one another to make the planet more hospitable and safe, so that you don't have to be kind of 100%ers, you've got to agree to be 100% for us to make a difference in the world. If we agree 70%, let's work on that 70%. So you have meaning coming from below, if you like, and meaning coming from above, but does it really matter that there is a difference in worldview?
Well, it's good for us both to work from our own direction, above and below. I think where we differ in our worldview is that Deepak feels that there is purpose in the laws of nature. It's teleological, that things happen for a reason. I don't want to put words in Deepak's mouth, but hey, that's becoming our trademark here. So, Deepak feels that there's a greater organizing force, a universal consciousness that is driving the evolution not only of life but of the universe and physics. I have no objection to that philosophically, and I don't like to make philosophical statements, but in physics we can look at what's going on in physics and we can see that does not seem to be what's really happening. So I think where our worldviews seem to collide is when the places where we overlap, where the ideas of what's deeper would seem to have an effect on what's actually here. And when we look at what's actually here, I don't see that. That's where we differ.
I look at my own body and I see that it has 100 trillion cells, which is more than all the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. And each cell is performing about 100,000 activities estimated. And every cell correlates its activity with every other cell. How does the human body think, thoughts, play piano, kill germs, remove toxins, and make a baby all at the same time? Why is there homeostasis? Why is there self-regulation? It's a very fundamental thing in all the biological organisms and even in the biosphere, the ecology. There's self-organization, there's self-repair, and there is a principle. I use my words very carefully. I'm not saying life force. A principle. The nature has particles, but nature also works according to principles. We call them laws. And we, as we both agree, we don't know why there are laws in the first place. So my argument is, yes, this is a self-organized universe, and it has everything that living organisms have. You know, how do you define living organisms? They have metabolism, they have a life cycle of birth and maturity and death, and they replicate. And that's what seems to be happening everywhere in the cosmos.
Okay, but so what I agree that human beings are very complicated. All life is complicated, and what's going on in your brain and your reproduction and everything is wonderful and complicated. extremely far away. And there's no way we're going to go there, we're not going to stick a thermometer and take its temperature, we're not going to be able to look and see what it's made of. And he said that, basically that we will never be able to know the temperature or the composition of the sun and the other stars. About 10 years later, spectroscopy was born, and we get to know just that. So, the thing about science is that just because something seems so awesome and so impressive that we tend to think that it's not understandable through science, it often, well, in the past, it usually has come out to be that way.
That was what used to be called the God of the gaps. You just throw God in when there's a gap in knowledge, you throw God in. Or the other problem, of course, is Woody Allen's God. God is an underachiever. You have this God principle that the God, horrible things are happening, and the God seems really inefficient.
Right. The personal God I find very difficult to believe for that reason. I discussed that in the book. And the biblical God, I'll just throw in, because I was at the high holiday services, so here I am. I'm a Jew and I go to the services, even though I don't believe in the biblical God, but I do read the Bible when I'm there. And I was just reading about how we should put homosexuals to death, and also children who don't respect their parents. Yeah, who here would still be here, right?
So one of the worlds falling apart.
Yes, but I wonder why, when people who believe in that, they cling to some of the beliefs. This was Leviticus a little earlier. We learned where the universe came from in 7 days, and they glom onto that, but they ignore the other stuff. Hopefully. So anyway, I don't even know what I was talking about.
Well, I'm glad you showed up.
Science is based on as Leonard says in the book, on three things: theory. Science is based on theory, experimentation, and observation. Theory is conceived in consciousness, experiment is designed in consciousness, observation occurs in consciousness, and we have no explanation for consciousness.
Right. Truth is dialectical. It's a conversation that never ends, and nobody has the last word on this. We're going to open it up for questions. I just wanted to give one last quotation from Stephen Muller in his inauguration as president of Johns Hopkins. He said, "The trouble with the university is that it is rooted in the scientific method. And the trouble with that is that science doesn't provide a value reference. The result is that we are turning out skilled barbarians."
And we also train out unskilled barbarians.
Unskilled.